Hi everybody, it's Mr. Gray here. Thanks again for another great week. The kids were energetic and happy. We had a tough week because it was so hot. We really got stuck inside, but next week's looking a lot better. The kids will get to go out and recess and play and have a normal lunch. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure your students are too. One big announcement is that I started giving out a Thursday folder this week on Thursday. So those should get right back to school as soon as possible. I'm expecting, just because of the amount of paper that goes through our class versus the digital communication, that Thursday folders will go home about every other week, but sometimes every week. So be on the lookout for that, and maybe the first couple weeks help your kids get them back to school as soon as possible. There is a outdoor movie night coming up on Friday, September 16th. PTA sponsors it. They probably send out information, and there's more information at the website, but it's a really fun activity that Santiago hosts. As far as academics go, we'll start with Readers Workshop next week. We have been trying to grow ideas about the text, and that's a really difficult process. The kids are noticing stuff as they're reading. They're also reading a book, and then trying to find out what is really important about this book, what comes up over and over again, what ideas can I develop. We discussed in class one idea that comes up in stories is sometimes the characters who have power don't want it. You can think back to like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, things like that. So I might be developing an idea about a character and how they feel, who they are, or anything like that. So that is a really difficult process. The kids have been working on that and figuring out ways to not only grow ideas, but also how to develop those ideas with evidence from the text they're reading, comparing what's happening to the character to another character in another book, or ranking different parts of the story on how much it supports their ideas. We're going to take a little pause from the actual, reading everyday part about that, and they're going to actually get a couple days to put their ideas together and turn in a reader's notebook. There'll be some different ways they can do that. They'll have some options on what they want to focus on, but Monday and Tuesday, they'll just get time in class to work on that, and then it'll be due on Wednesday. Also, next week, at the end of the week, they're going to get partners that they can work a little more closely with on developing these ideas, and we'll begin the work of analyzing themes by just looking at how characters face problems, and then how they respond to them, and even what they learn from going through a problem. For Writer's Workshop, the kids were generating ideas for what they might write about their personal narrative. These are small moments that are true stories that actually happen to them, and we've really been discussing how to make them really kind of powerful, and one of the ways to do that is by being brave in your choice of topic, having some courage, opening your heart a little bit about what might be included. So they have lots of topic ideas. They started drafting their first narrative. They'll draft a couple over the course of the week. We will try to lift the level of our writing by being inspired by other authors and the words that they use and the way they describe things, and trying to include some of their inspiration into our own writing. We'll work on telling the story from inside out, and we'll try to take stock of our own work. The kids will look at their own work and see how it stacks up. Are they meeting the goals that they would like to be meeting? And then finally, they'll actually publish their first narrative, and then that will get turned in. In math, we have a couple things happening. So we took a little break from fractions for the moment. At the end of next week, we'll come back to fractions. We'll just work on dividing fractions. What is really happening conceptually when you're dividing fractions? Why keep it, change it, flip it as a method for solving a fraction division problem even works. We'll break that apart a little bit. But at the beginning of the week, starting today, Thursday, and going through Wednesday next week, we're going to be doing a project called Should I Get a New iPhone? Apple just released new iPhones, and we wanted to look at, from a mathematical standpoint, a financial standpoint, why would people choose to get a new iPhone or not get a new iPhone? So students are working in a group. Part of their work is together in a group, and part of their work is individual. They're going to write in the form of a research paper with a title and an abstract and their methods and their results. They're going to write a paper which will be, again, partially group and partially individual, and they're also going to give a short presentation. Expect the students to interview you at some point with your thoughts about when phones get upgraded and why you would upgrade or choose not to. Maybe people will pay monthly or buy it outright. These are all considerations that the groups are thinking about. It doesn't matter if you have an iPhone. It's just an interesting idea for the kids to explore. And they, again, will be reporting that in a paper and also in a presentation early next week. For social studies, the kids are focused on Native American tribes in the pre-Columbian era before Columbus came to the United States and Europeans came. So what we're going to do is look at Native American culture, government, and economy next week to try to get a better idea of who the people were that were here in the United States before Europeans came and what their life was like. In addition to that, we'll take we're going to zoom ahead a little bit. Saturday, September 17th is U.S. Constitution Day, a chance for fifth grade classes to look at the Constitution. We're going to get into that much more later in the year, but we'll take a little break from our regularly scheduled social studies to look quickly at the Constitution, specifically at the preamble, and we will study it quickly, and the kids will have to recite it at the end of the week. It's pretty short, it shouldn't be a big problem, but that's going to be that, and it'll just be one-on-one with the teacher. They don't have to recite it in front of the class. And finally, in science, we didn't quite get a chance to start the first unit this week, but we actually will next week. We'll be preparing for a science lab and also doing some work in class by studying what the properties of different materials. That's what's happening next week. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Many of you have conferences starting next week. If you do have things you want to address at conferences, you can always email me ahead of time because the time always goes too fast. But I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference, and thanks again for another great week. Bye-bye.